Dale, tell us about your business and what's limiting its growth right now.
I'm Director of Advanced Planning for Virtual Family Office, which is my company. It's TRS Family Office, which is TRS stands for Tax and Retirement Specialist. And so the concept is a beautiful concept. That the family office was originated by J.D. Rockefeller back in 1882, and he would just had so many advisors coming at him, and none of them were communicating with each other. And so he decided that I'm just going to hire everybody myself, bring them on. They're going to only work for me. I'll pay their salaries, and it worked out really well for them. As you guys can tell, it's the Rockefellers are reportedly worth over $10 billion today. And so that model, that family office model, took off from there. But it's been always reserved for the ultra wealthy. Like Oprah Winfrey has a family office, and she pays reportedly $20 to $30 million a year. Bill Gates has a family office and pays over $100 million a year. And you've got the Waltons and Reed Hastings and Netflix and Michael Dell, people like that. It's never really been reserved. The small and medium-sized business owner has never been able to afford that type of collaboration and planning, advanced planning. And so the group I'm working with out of San Diego developed this virtual family office back in 2014, and it was designed by a CPA who built his firm on the team-based model, of planning, and sold it for $45 million. And so he's bringing what he learned building his CPA firm and partnered with a financial planner. And so the focus was bringing more value to CPAs, helping CPAs bring more value to their clients, specifically their A and B clients. And so we work with business owners, and then we partner with CPAs and help them, bring more value and do some advanced planning. Most CPAs are stuck in compliance, and they don't have the bandwidth to really do much advanced planning with their business, their top clients, business owner clients. And so that's the overall model, and I've been working with it going on 4 years now. So the hard part is to really get, the part I've been struggling with is getting in front of the business owners and getting them to understand that this type of planning, this type of collaboration where all your advisors are communicating with each other and looking at the big picture versus them coming, to you in silos of their own specialists or specialties, and then they're collaborating with each other. So getting them to understand that, and in a short little pitch is kind of tough. And then also CPAs, it's been worked with a couple of them, but they're kind of stuck in their ways, and so kind of getting them to loosen up and embrace this model, which the CPA industry is changing, and so they're going to have to start to look at ways of bringing more value to their A and B clients. So I recently, just actually yesterday, released my book, and we did hit the Amazon bestseller list. And it's the name of the book is The Virtual Family Office Advantage, and then the tagline is From Siloed Advice to Team-Based Planning. So that's kind of a quick overview of what I work with, what we're doing, and some of the things I've been working on to get the word out and bring in some more clients.
A lot to unpack there, and we will pretty soon. But before we do, can you tell me what the current business goal is, like say 3-year target revenue-wise?
Last year I took a lot of time writing a book, and so that kind of slowed my progress down. And then fourth quarter of last year, I got a bacterial infection that took me completely out of the game. And that was, tax planning is a big part of what we do, and we can generate quite a bit of revenue. And so I was completely on the sideline for the end of September all the way into January of this year. So my revenue was only about $200,000 at that end for last year. But with the release of this book and some of the marketing that we've got lined up and continue to line up, my goal is an aggressive goal, but I want to 5x that, and I want to reach 7 figures this year. And then from there, I want to be able to scale it and bring on advisors, because if every CPA I partner with, that gives us access to, depending on the size of the firm, on the low end, 100 business owners, and on the higher end, 400 or 500 business owners. There are obviously bigger firms out there that have over 1,000 business owner clients, but that's really not our target. Those firms really pretty much have their advanced planning. They've grown it big enough to where they can bring everything in-house. So I'm looking for the 1 or 2, CPA, maybe 3, 4 CPA shops that are really trying to figure out how to embrace the CAS, which stands for Client Advisory Services, and embrace it at a higher level and bring that extra revenue in. Our focus for CPAs is not only to help them bring more value to their their clients, but also to improve their work-life balance, and by creating more revenue per client, and therefore working with less clients and just focusing on the best clients.
Right. How big is the team right now?
I have my COO and myself, and then my son.
So 3 people.
Yep.
And any plans of expanding the team, or you're gonna keep it lean and mean?
No, the goal would be to expand the team, and depending on whether it's going to be licensed advisors or I also see there's a lot of CPAs that are aging out of the industry, but I think they would love to get into the advanced planning, side of things versus compliance and just doing tax returns. That kind of burns them out after a while, and so I may look at finding some retired CPAs out there that may want to come on board and work with us as well, but more than likely licensed advisors.
Okay. All right, Dale. Let's do some deep dive now. So first of all, I want to get some clarity on the concept of virtual family office. So you gave the Rockefeller example. Then you said that it's designed by a CPA firm. So right now it is your company, right? It's not like a franchisee model where you are a franchisee of a franchisor.
It kind of is, actually. So
It is.
Elite Resource Team out of San Diego, Paul Latham is a CPA, and his partner, Anton Anderson was a financial planner, and they came together to start the Elite Resource Team in the Virtual Family Office. And so they've been evolving it over the last going on 12 years now, and they've put together an incredible program with a lot of different processes and systems I can tap into. And they have the 5 areas of planning that we cover. The Virtual Family Office covers is tax planning, risk mitigation, wealth and legacy, legal services, and business advisory. And so within those 5 areas, we have over 75 specialists they're highly vetted. They come to us by referral only, through this, to Elite Resource Team anyhow. And they go through a vetting process that is doing background checks, talking to past clients or other advisors that have used them, just getting some referrals. And then we also grade them, my colleagues and I that work with this family office, virtual family office. We grade these specialists on a regular basis to make sure that they're holding the standard that they got in the door on. And so the group that these specialists are very good at what they do. They're fun to work with for sure.
So you mentioned 5 items: tax planning, risk mitigation. What were the other 3?
Wealth and legacy is one group, and then legal services and business advisory.
Okay, legal services and business advisory.
Yep.
Okay. So you mentioned these 75 specialists. You're saying the fact that you are like a franchisee model with Elite Resource Team, these are the specialists that you can leverage for your own customers?
Yeah, for my own clients. Yep.
I see. So that's the biggest advantage, right?
Yeah, it's I don't have to recreate the wheel. I just tap into the system that they have with my team, and we have our own guys that I work with as well. So I don't use strictly Virtual Family Office. We have some local people here, some different attorneys, and other areas that I work with, wealth advisors and things like that I pull in from outside to create my own team.
So these specialists, I'm guessing these are some specialists are tax planners, others are more into risk mitigation and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
So they have their own expertise within those specialities, right?
Yeah, they don't overlap into one that's in tax planning is not also doing wealth and legacy. They stay in their own their own.
Right. Okay. What value are you providing to the customers? Are you like more of the managing of relationships, or is there's more to it?
Yeah, my title is Director of Advanced Planning, and so I help look at the big picture and see what the area is. And then with my team, we pull in the different specialists, and I'm just kind of the quarterback of the whole thing. So the business owner is not doing everything. They just they meet with us and do a client situation diagnostic, which is a proprietary software that goes through those 5 areas of planning, and we help uncover, the diagnostic uncovers the different areas of planning that needs to be addressed. And then of course the business owner has their own areas that, pain points that they want to cover as well. And once we get done with the diagnostic, and then we go through and prioritize it, and then we'll tackle the first 3 on the list. Sometimes the list is 4, 5, 6, 7 different items of planning that they need to get done. But we try and take it in small little bite-sized chunks and tackle the first 3, maybe 4, depending on how complex some of them are. And then so we charge accordingly for that. So our proactive planning fee, we have 3 different options: proactive light, proactive core, and proactive max.
Hmm. So how I'm just trying to understand this, the business model, the way it's set up right now. How is the franchisor making money? Do they make money based on the revenue you're bringing in, or based on how much of the specialist you are using?
Yeah, there's different levels that I can tap into. Where there's a mastermind group that I can pay. I pay a monthly fee to access their system, so it is a franchise in that regard. And then the revenue that the specialists bring in, that I share in that revenue, and ERT shares in that revenue as well.
Okay. All right. So they're just getting a cut plus a monthly fee from you.
Yep.
I see. So what is your ideal customer profile? Is that someone like a small business or a medium-sized business? What kind of revenue you're looking for them to have? Like, how are you thinking of that? The ideal customer profile?
Well, I want them to be obviously cash flowing. On the low end, yeah, $1 million, gross revenue, and then on the high end, probably 50 million on the high end. You start getting higher than that, and there's other different offices out there that maybe would be, I've had some colleagues that worked with people larger than that, closer to 100 million. But for my own business model right now, there's a lot of opportunity out there between 1 million and 50 million.
Hmm. Okay. And are you targeting, does it matter they need to be in certain industries, or is it agnostic of the industry?
It's really agnostic. There's,
Okay.
there's certain industries that we can do a lot more for than other industries, like manufacturing. By the time you figure out the employee part of it, there's just and then tax advantages that manufacturing has, and all the different tax things that we can do, structuring them, legal structures, and things like that. Manufacturers probably the industry we can do the most for, but we can do a lot for every industry out there.
Hmm. So they're making $1 million. Like, say, let's look at our company. So we're making between 1 million and $2 million in gross revenue. We buy and sell vacant land all over the US. So what's the problem I'm solving that I'm going to Dale and saying, Dale, fix this for me?
Well, it depends on what kind of problems you might be having. It depends on first and foremost, we look at, can we lower your tax bill, and that increases cash flow. So I like to start with tax mitigation, because that changes a lot. It changes the amount of cash flow you have to invest in other properties. It changes your wealth and legacy, and how that's going to work out for you. It allows you to expand the business, maybe expand into other areas, the more cash flow you have. And it really starts with taxes, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. So that's the first thing you'll look at. What kind of taxes we're paying? Is there an opportunity to lower the tax bill? So say we look at the taxes. I mean, we use like a land based tax CPA who's been doing it for a long time. So it's fairly optimized. So assuming you look at our taxes and you're like, all right, you are already optimized, nothing more we can optimize. What would be the next step?
It depends on how you're structured. Your legal structure. Are you using the most optimum structure? Your corporate structure, is that set up properly? Because sometimes when people, businesses first start out, they start out with, sole proprietor or maybe an LLC, and then as their business grows and they're bringing on employees and different things like that, the structure they
Mm,
started with may not be the best structure to keep going with. And so
right.
sometimes you look at the type of legal structure they're using, their business is using, and then there's how is the business run? The best, even if you're not selling for 20 years, you should take a look at, is your business ready for sale? Because that opens the door for a lot of different things. One, we want to make sure that your business can get a line of credit or your business can get financing versus um, you as a business owner putting your personal line of credit out there. And that happens a lot with small businesses. I spent 20 years in real estate, went through the '08 crisis as a real estate investor and broker. And so I watched a lot of developers and builders get taken out, not just their business, but their home life, their home, everything went by the wayside in 2008 because they were signed on it personally. So it's very important to get your business ready for sale, and by doing that, um, you optimize obviously what it's worth, but then it's ready to take on its own financing if you're going to expand and have to get a line of credit, or you're buying stuff, buying inventory or what have you. You're not using your own personal credit for it,
Mm,
it, and that's optimizing the value of the other part of it too is how much of the business is tied to the owner, and the contracts are tied to the owner. In my book, I talk about a company that we helped. They were grossing 6 million and netting 4 million, and you would think that company would be worth a lot of money, but it wasn't. There wasn't a buyer out there that wanted to touch it because the money was all coming in from two government contracts that the business owner had set up, and so the contracts were, not only was it not enough clients, only two. So if you lose one, or you lose, when you lose the government, you lost both contracts. And then also it was tied to him as a business owner. So we went in there and helped him develop more contracts and expand, the amount of clients that he could service, and got some leadership in there. So so it wasn't tied to him. He had other people working with the clients, his leadership team, and that changed the value of that client, that company, by tens of millions because of the amount of revenue that was coming in.
mm. Was the goal to exit in that scenario, or was the goal to just increase the value so you can raise more capital?
He was looking at exiting at that point. He was trying to sell it and realized it just, even though he had all this cash flow, the value wasn't there because of what I talked about there, just not enough clients.
Right. Is it usually the main scenario people would hire you for? They're like, all right, I've been running the business for like 20 years. I'm looking to exit. Dale, can you help me out? Is that usually the biggest pain point when people come to you?
It is quite a bit. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it is quite a bit. Because we look, I think a lot of the sales right now are baby boomers, kind of age, wanting to get out and retiring. That's a big part of what's going on with business right now. Is the baby boomers are aging out and looking to sell their business, and so getting it ready for sale and maximizing enterprise value is a big thing. There's EBITDA, but there's enterprise value, which is probably more important than EBITDA, because you can have, because enterprise value affects the multiple, and EBITDA just talks about what revenue is coming in. But if your enterprise value is such where your multiple is 2, and then we work with them and we can get that multiple up to 4 or 5 or 6, same EBITDA, but now the company's worth more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, EBITDA is just like net profit, right?
Yeah.
And then multiple is essentially what they can sell the business for. So I agree with you. If you can increase the multiple, then that's a higher value. Um, so okay, so we're going down the workflow, right? So you lowered the tax bill, you fixed the legal structure, you looked at it from a holistic standpoint, whether it's ready for sale. What's the next step in your workflow?
Um, well, every client's different, so it just really depends on what their pain points are, or what showed up on the diagnostic, and so
Right.
it's really hard to say. So increasing cash flow is number one, and like I said, through taxes, and then we can take a look at what they're doing. A lot of business owners feel guilty pulling money out of the business. They feel like they got to put everything back into it, and a lot of times they're doing it just to lower the tax bill, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And so we help them pull that money out and start to create some wealth outside of their business, so they're not everything is tied up in their business. Because if something did happen to the industry they're in, or pandemic, whatever, if all their wealth is tied up in their business, then they could end up being in a world of hurt. If something catastrophic happened.
Yeah. Okay. So so you are the first person, like the front or the face of the company who will be doing these diagnostic checks. So they're interfacing with you.
Yeah, I'm the face of the company, and the author of the book, and but I have a team that does the diagnostic. Um, because I'm not going to be the do all and end all on this thing. So I have some couple of different people that will meet with. I'll be on the call with them, but they will, we'll meet with them and go through. And I have my guy Bridger Sylvester does the diagnostic, and
Okay. Yeah. So you say you have a 3-person team, right? So the other people are also helping with the diagnostic, right?
well, yeah. Right now, I'm looking at maybe my son stepping in. I'm using Bridger, which he's part of the elite resource team, and so I I'm giving up some revenue by using their system on that, and I'd like to create my own system as far as still use their diagnostic, because it is a powerful tool. But I don't, I'm not going to pay their person to come and do work with my clients and do the diagnostic when I can have somebody else do it. That's where I think a
Right.
retired CPA would be a good person to work with to do that.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see that I am connecting the dots now. Okay. So the 3-person team, you, your son, and the third person is actually belongs to the elite resource team.
No, the third person is my COO. His name is Kit, and he's super talented. I just brought him on about 2 months ago now, but he was a executive assistant for about 5 top executives at Cargill, and he uh, I hired him as an assistant, but I went, well, you're too talented to be called an assistant, so I said, let's call you chief operations officer, and because he does so much. He helped me with the rebranding and a lot of other things over the last couple of months.
Hmm. Does the COO interact with the customers, or is it just for like internal for your company?
I'm thinking at one point we're developing as we speak. Right now we're just getting organized. Got the book launched in yesterday, basically, and hit the bestseller list. So we put a lot
Yeah,
of effort.
congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So we put a lot of effort into that. He's been learning our CRM and and getting things coordinated behind the scenes. So when we do start bringing in quite a few clients, we partner with one, two, three CPAs. I can only physically myself probably handle 3 CPAs on the upside, because if each CPA is bringing 2 to 3 business owners to the table every week, that gets to be a lot. So that's where I would get a licensed advisor. As I'm bringing on more CPAs and expanding that way, I can bring on licensed advisors to handle some of the other CPAs and help working with them. But for
Right.
now, we're just kind of getting everything ready to so when we do get busy, there's no hiccups or any problems. Everything is streamlined, and we're going to figure out ways of putting AI into our systems. And got a meeting on Monday with an AI guy, and we're going to see what kind of things we can streamline, so we can handle a decent amount of client flow.
Yeah. How many clients do you have right now?
Just working with a handful right now, mainly because, like I said, I had to take my hand off the plow to really focus on the book, and it took me a little longer than I wanted to finish up. And then fourth quarter, I was going from my bed to the recliner, and from the recliner back to bed with this infection that landed in my knee. I had back-to-back surgeries, and it sucked. Let's just leave it at that. And
Yeah.
so I didn't work for 3 months last fall. So I had to just kind of getting the momentum going, get the book launched, and getting things rolling at this point.
Right. So like five-ish, you said
And about
handful?
a handful, yeah, 5, 6 clients I'm working with right now.
Okay. All right. So it seems like if your client is smaller, like us, for example, say we're doing like 1.5 million in revenue, right? So if you have a smaller client, do you even need specialists from the elite resource team? Can't you just handle the diagnostic and the remediation just in house?
Well, the tax mitigation, they have a system, a pretty cool system set up with a CPA on staff that specializes in that, and then a lot of different strategies that they work with. So I do have one I can work with outside of the family office. So I do a combination of both in that regard. And then as far as other people that I can bring in. I like to work with local attorneys. We got some, great talent here in the Twin Cities as far as attorneys, whether it be, trust, estate attorneys, or just corporate business attorneys that know business law and entity structures and things like that. So I don't technically need to use them on some of those. There is one specialist within the family office that knows business trusts and things like that I would bring him in, because you can do some pretty cool things with business trusts. And so, to answer your question, yeah, I can bring in some of my own people, but they've got a pretty cool, highly vetted team that they really do a great job of making sure they're performing at the level that we need them to.
I see. Okay. So I see what you're saying. So even though like you are the kind of like the architect, you're architecting the solution, but you still need a specialist because they're like certified tax professional for actually preparing the returns and changing the legal structures and all that, right?
Right. And your average advisor goes about a mile wide and an inch deep. And so I can go a mile wide, but I can go a mile deep in those 5 areas. And so
Mm,
that's what sets us apart from, just your typical advisor, is that the main thing is that, they're not collaborating. They come in one dimension.
mm,
The CPA is recording last year's taxes, right? They're more reactionary than they are proactive. Not all CPAs. I'm just saying, typical ones they don't have the bandwidth to really do these advanced strategies. And then your financial planner is typically trying to help you save for retirement and get as big a pile of cash as you can. And unfortunately, they typically try and do it through deferring taxes, which I think is a great way for your typical employee. But for business owners, they shouldn't defer taxes to save for retirement, because you need that money. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, you need liquidity. And so when you start putting money away in tax deferred accounts, now you're stuck with that money in there until you're 59 and a half, or you can pay the big 10% penalty and then pay taxes on top of that to get it out. Or a lot of business owners, if they're deferring taxes, are creating a big tax bomb in retirement, and that can cause kind of a big problem with your Medicare. You can actually end up owing money every year because you go up through the IRMA brackets and things like that. So having advisors that collaborate with each other, and then having some advisors that are outside of the typical thought process, is huge for business owners. It's not so much your
mm.
typical employee, but when you're a business owner, you need you need kind of the higher strategies, the more advanced strategies to accomplish liquidity and create the value of your business that you're hoping for.
Right. Okay, I understand. So the value add is really in the collaboration component, right? It's not like you can't hire a good CPA, a good financial planner. It's just that you can't hire all of them under one roof so they talk to each other.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
I see. I get it. Okay. You mentioned you can do cool things with business trusts. Can you give us an example?
I wish I could. That is, I do know trusts. I did when I was in real estate. I traveled around, learned how to work with land trusts and personal property trusts. And so I bought and sold real estate out of land trusts, and I work with my personal account is a trust account. I don't use my name on it. But when it comes to, I watched a webinar with Ben going through some of these business trusts and what they do, and it was, it's quite a while ago, and they're pretty cool strategies. I wish I could give you some really good details on it, but I wouldn't do it justice at this point. I would have to bring somebody like Ben on the call so he can dial it in. There's a lot of details to it, and how you can set it up with the corporation and in the flow of the money and how they use it for taxes and legacy play.
Is the main advantage of reducing the tax burden?
Yeah, and legacy, but yeah, tax burden for sure.
Okay. All right. So going back to the example, so if it's a smaller company like mine, you help me with my taxes. So we covered the tax planning side of things. So because we have five, right? So risk mitigation. What would be the things you would do like for a company like mine for risk mitigation?
You probably would qualify for 831B. So risk mitigation. Everybody typically thinks about insurance, right? And you can spend a lot of money on insurance, but the 831B allows business owners to self-insure, and so you're still going to have your policy from the billion-dollar insurance companies to cover the catastrophic, but 831B allows you to insure for things that the typical insurance doesn't cover, like pandemic, supply chain problems, or if you got to get hacked, or you get compromised through some kind of virus or some kind of hacker, you can self-insure for a lot of these smaller things that insurance just doesn't cover it. And so you're not pulling it out of your pocket; you're pulling it out of your own insurance company. You're able to put it away, tax deferred for the insurance, and you can pull it out without paying taxes to pay, help cover deductibles and different things like that. And it also becomes an asset to the company, and the business owner can take it with them as part of their retirement. But now if you take it with you as part of the retirement, now when you start pulling it out, you got to pay the taxes. But if you're using it for business, business, claims and different things like that, you put it in tax deferred and pull it out without having to pay taxes, as long as it fits within what the IRS says you can use it for. But it's a powerful strategy,
Right.
sure.
Then there's wealth and legacy, business advisory, and legal services. So they kind of like overlap into each other, right? Depending on the scenario, what we're trying to solve, right?
Yeah, and they do, and that's why it's important to collaborate, because they do overlap. And having this collaboration and having somebody like myself looking at the big picture, we can start to see some of the blind spots that maybe a business owner doesn't see because they're getting siloed advice from different specialists that are within their own lane, and not you just blind spots that start to develop, especially as the business grows.
Yeah. You mentioned you currently have like 5, 6 clients that you're dealing with. How did you acquire those clients?
Just networking, really. And some of them came working from a CPA that I partnered with, and then other just networking and getting out there and meeting people.
Okay. So when you say partner with a CPA, it's more like an affiliate relationship where they bring you some of their or introduce you to some of their clients, and you get the customer and they get a kickback from you. Is that the relationship?
Well, yeah, we share the revenue with the CPA, so we split the revenue, unless it's revenue coming from something that I'm licensed with, like through insurance. I can't share the revenue there. We have to figure out other things out in that regard. Sometimes the CPA will just get licensed, and so they can share in that revenue as well. But it's the focus is to have the CPA embrace this the family office as part of their firm. So they're not, and see, the goal is also to get the CPAs out of the outdated referral model, where they're referring out to CPAs or out to insurance people to fund a buy-sell agreement or key employee insurance, or the CPAs refer out to all these different people, and so they're losing that revenue, and then they're at the mercy of how that person does. And then if that person does a great job, the referrals come into that person they referred them to instead of coming into the CPA. And if that person does a bad job, well, then it's a reflection back on the CPA. And so it's really not a very good business model, but it's the one that's been going on for decades and decades. And so if they embrace, the way this was developed by Paul, the CPA that was partnered with Anton. It was designed to keep the CPA as still a relationship lead, and to have it look that to create a bigger presence as a firm versus one-dimensional tax compliance firm. Now they're a family office partnered with a family office, and they're bringing obviously a lot more value, but they also look bigger. And we have some marketing that we can do where they can have a plug-in, family office plug-in under their current website, or we can design them a whole new website with the virtual family office and all the specialists within the family office.
Hmm. I see. You mentioned you did some networking to get the 5-6 clients through. Is that through one CPA?
No, I had a CPA that we were working with, and he ended up not. We didn't. He had trouble embracing it at the higher level that we're focused on, and so I just do a little bit of work with him. So no, but just one or two of the clients came from him. The rest were just through my networking groups and the people I get out and meet.
Are these in-person meetups where you're meeting CPAs specifically, or were these like
other business owners? Kind of like a BNI, only it's a little, in my opinion,
Oh, I
a
see.
little better than a BNI, because BNI has a lot of great business owners without a doubt, but it's a lot of times they're more the small mom and pop type
Right.
businesses, and so this network, a group I'm a part of, has a little more professionals to it, higher net worth people.
I see. Okay. So what's the plan? So you have you want to get to 1 million and beyond. Are you thinking of like the most efficient way to get there is to focus on partnering up with CPAs and kind of like showing them the vision that they should really expand and be a family office, and then you kind of like service the back end for that? Or are you thinking there's the plan is to more go directly after the business owners? Which do you think is a higher efficiency play?
I'm kind of focused on both. The book that I just released yesterday was focused towards business owners, but I have at the end of the book I have a section called "Note to CPAs" or "Note for CPAs," and it goes into the paradigm shift that's going on right now within the accounting industry, and some of the numbers and different things that surveys of business owners and what they're looking for. So my book is focused on business owners, but is also there for the business owner to pass it to their CPA and say, "Hey, kind of like to have this kind of service, and this is something that's available to you." And so I do. I got right after tax planning here. I got about 4 or 5 CPAs I'm going to be sitting down with, and just seeing if there's a good match for what we're doing here.
Yeah. I like, just from an outsider, I feel like the chances are higher to go after CPAs because it is like the natural fit, right? Because business owner is like very generic, right? Like there are a lot of business owners who are not even problem aware, right? Because
Right?
CPAs are problem aware, so it's an easy sell to them that you don't even have to do anything. You basically, just add the family office component to your existing services. Like this is one extra service we provide, and then Dale takes care of the rest, and then you just get rev share. That's like a irresistible offer that you can make to CPAs. Whereas if you're making that offer to business owners, it's a hard sell, right? Because as a business owner, I'm always thinking of how to reduce expenses, right? And then bringing on a virtual office team, it just sounds expensive, even though I don't know the prices yet, which we'll go into next. But it just sounds like, oh, that's just another expense. And I don't know if I can justify, because I'm already spending money on my CPA, and he charges a lot of money. I don't want another professional in there. So, from an outsider perspective, I feel like if you were to focus, go all in on just the CPA angle, you can like have concentrated effort and marketing and just be very focused. Because if you try to go after both, you kind of like diluting, because it's not like you have a 20% team and you're like, all right, you 10 go after business owners, you the rest of the 10 go after CPAs. You're like a very small team, and you might be hurting your chances by going after both customers.
That's a
What do
good,
you think?
I think you're dead on. The business model is set up to focus on CPAs. I wrote the book towards business owners because I wanted to. It's a great, because going out and knocking on CPAs doors, um, you're just another person there. Everybody wants to get partnered with a CPA. I mean, as far as in the advisory, whether it be fractional CFOs, all want to go talk to CPAs. Financial advisors, financial planners, of course, they all want to be talking with CPAs, or have a CPA in their pocket. And so when you go out and just knock on their door, you're just another advisor. You're trying to explain to them a little bit of different, but they're only giving you one ear because they're still putting you in that category of somebody who just wants to get to my clients. Everybody's trying to get to my clients. And so by attracting some successful business owners and then going to them up to their CPA, because when we meet with business owners, we bring the CPA in on the call, their CPA, especially when we're talking about tax planning. We get, the blessing of the CPA, so they're on board and they know what their business owner is doing. So I agree with you 100%, that, yeah, the best play would be just go after CPAs. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of doing it. I am focusing on CPAs, especially after tax season. Right now, I can't really focus on them because they're just too busy right now, coming to the April 15th cutoff here. And so I'm just going to focus on business owners until after April 15th, and then I will be going towards CPAs.
Yeah, I mean, it might also be a little bit of a limiting belief, that you are just another person. It's also,
Could be.
it depends on how you position your offer. If you make the offer irresistible for the CPA, like where it becomes a no brainer and they feel stupid saying no to you, right? That's how you want to position the offer. Because you literally, if you go to a CPA and you're like, you don't even have to do anything, all you have to do is just add this section to your website that you also provide family office services, and we handle everything, and you just get a rev share, and you can literally make another 80 grand per month. Like if that's the pitch, they will feel stupid saying no to Dale. Like if you made that pitch to me and I'm a CPA, I was like, wait, what? I can make 80 grand per month and I don't have to do anything. I just need to add a section on my website. It's like, yeah, where do I sign?
Yeah. And
Right. So
it's
yeah.
we
So
worded definitely, and I've had some traction with talking to CPAs like that. But it's they they can be a tough nut to crack at times. They're a different breed, and they're self-admittedly. And we got CPAs at our conference every June in San Diego, and when they're up on stage, they talk about the different mindset CPAs have.
Yeah.
that are just a different nut to crack, so to speak.
Right. Well, yeah, but that's the problem. If you solve it, you make big bucks, right? That's that's the game,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I yeah, I just feel like you're like avoiding that solving that problem and going after easier target, but that easier target is not really easy because they have like million different things, but and it's hard to create an irresistible offer for a business owner because you're talking about, oh, I'm going to be doing savings, right? And it's not as attractive versus going to a CPA and saying, well, I'm going to make you an extra 80K,
yeah,
right? There you're saying I'm going to save you 8K. Here you're saying, or like 50K. Here you're saying I'm going to make you 50K, right? So that's much juicier and more irresistible to the potential customer. You mentioned you when you do have a business owner who's interested, you have their CPA on the call as well because that's like if you come to me and my CPA, I don't really love my CPA. He doesn't like is not very communicative for me, and he will charge me like by the hour to be on a call with me.
yeah.
So that seems like a turn off for me that I have to bring him on because he's charging me like $400 an hour, and then yeah, I have to talk to you, and we haven't even signed anything. So
No,
that seems like a friction point.
yeah. Well, it's not. I wasn't specific enough. We don't bring them on right away. We're meeting with the business owner. We're going through the diagnostic. We're talking about all the different plans. We're bringing, if we're doing some business advisory stuff, whether it be key man employee or buy sell agreement, or just working with the employee benefits stuff like that. CPA is really not on the call for that. So the CPA only
Mm.
comes on the call is when we're dealing with their tax returns and we're doing some tax mitigation. We pull the CPA on the call for those right there
Okay.
because
All right.
that's their area of specialty.
Fair enough. Another point about CPAs is you when you're going after CPAs, you one CPA could unlock like 100 plus clients for you, as opposed to business owner that's just one to one. So it's the leverage is not there,
No,
right?
I agree. That's why
Yeah.
the book is it's a great avenue to get up to the CPA. When I show them what I can do with their one client, I can talk to
Yeah.
them about partnering with the other clients or bringing some value to their other clients.
Yeah, it's just a leap. It is a leap, right? Because you're going after because you're assuming because the as a business owner, I don't care about other like my CPA and his other clients, right? I just care about my business. So it is a little bit of a leap that you are like indirectly trying to get to CPA. I mean, if I'm running your business, I would like just forget about business owner. I would like just go 100% focus because then your brain is like thinking, all right, this is my I'm locked in and this is my ICP, ideal customer profile, and I'm
Mhm.
not even going to think about anyone else. And I'm just like, my brain is constantly thinking of solving one problem as opposed to solving two different problems, which is like, oh, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. Like it constantly like context switching and it dilutes my focus. So I like to think of like, all right, this is a bigger problem to solve, but it's also going to bring in another 5 million in revenue. So I'm going to focus all my efforts on this problem. Right. So that's how I like to think. And I mean, I talk to other successful founders. That's how they like to think as well. So that's how I would play this. Um, so customer acquisition. So right now, for targeting the CPAs, you're obviously tapping your network. How else are you meeting these CPAs? You mentioned you're going to conferences. Is there can you like go on like podcast where CPAs are like the audience for them?
Well, that's my focus right now. I'm just started going on podcast 2 weeks ago. And so
Okay.
that's just kind of crafting my message and getting comfortable. And so yeah, my goal is to start working my way up and keep working with podcasts that are getting more into the area that CPAs would be listening to and things like that.
Yeah. Because yeah, I would also spend some time in making the offer when you go on those podcasts. You present the offer in such a way where it's like a no brainer, and they're like, it's just revenue for you. Like you don't have to do anything. right? So the way you make an offer irresistible is like you make it easy, like effortless, right? No sacrifice
Right.
from their side. You make it risk free, like if you don't like it, we'll just like give you a way out, painless way out for whatever reason, if you don't like the way we operate. So make it risk free or have some kind of a guarantee. We guarantee that we're gonna save X much for your customers, or provide this level of service, something quantifiable. um so risk free, easy, and zero time delay, as in like we can do it fast. So you can say, well, we can get this website thing set up within like 24 hours,
Yeah.
right? So you want to think of those three elements when you construct that irresistible offer, because then it becomes no brainer for the other side. Because the first thing your customer will think of, the potential CPA, oh, how much work it is for me, how long it will take, and how is it, what risk it's creating for me. Those are the three big variables, right? So if you can take care of all three variables, and you're just saying, well, and you just make extra 50K in revenue per month, then it just becomes a no-brainer. So that's how I would position it. Because I think what you have is a really good business model. You correctly identified the problem, that CPAs are like narrow minded, and they just think about, oh, doing the taxes and accounting, and just like one aspect of what a family office could provide, right? So it is like an a very obvious upsell from their side.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, we did the tax planning, we saved you money on taxes. Now let's get you into wealth and legacy. Now let's get you into some advisory. Let's get you into some like legal protection and risk mitigation, right? Those are like obvious upsells, right?
Right. And, just real quick, CPAs are not technically narrow minded. It's just that they don't have the bandwidth to expand, or they don't have the avenue that, I subscribe to Accounting Today, which is the industry newsletter, one of the main ones. And there's two things that come out to CPAs every month, basically, two topics. One is technology, of course, but the other one is CAS, Client Advisory Services, and how to, a lot of CPAs, the smaller ones will offer, some bookkeeping, maybe some audits here and there, in different, trying to be more proactive. But when it really comes to that suite of proactivity, where you're really being holistic, they don't know how to. They don't have the time to do it. So there are other avenues like CPA.com, which advertises on Accounting Today. They have a really pretty cool program. I'm assuming I could only get so far into it without starting to have to pay some fees to really see what it looked like. But it's not so turnkey. They got to kind of almost hire somebody to get it implemented, and it takes a lot of time. And so our system is really turnkey. It's simple. They're leveraging my time. They're leveraging the team's time, so they can really tap into that other revenue that's on the table um, without spending a lot of money, really
Exactly.
anything, and really very little time. So they all want to do it. They just don't know how the best way to go about it.
Right, right. It's just an educational thing for them. You just have to get them educated. Let's get into pricing. How much are you charging your customers?
So Proactive Light, which is the diagnostic, and we'll take care of 2 to 3 of their planning needs, is $3,600 for the year, and then Proactive Core is $5,600, and that would be quarterly meetings, and we can tackle probably 5, 6 or more planning needs, and then Proactive Max is customized, basically whatever they need, and so we don't have a set price on that.
Okay. And most of your existing customers, which tier are they on?
They usually go with the Proactive Core, the 5,600, and because it gives them
Okay.
some ongoing planning, quarterly planning, and allows us to tackle, and it depends on the needs that come up too from the diagnostic to which one they go to.
Yeah. Is the diagnostic free or you charge for it?
It's free. We don't charge anything.
Okay.
So we have the diagnostic meeting. So first they meet with me. We just talk. And then we set up a meeting for the diagnostic, and then a follow-up meeting 2 days later to go over the priorities and then pricing. And then so they can get a good idea of what kind of things that we can do for them, what kind of things are on, that are coming up that they should take a look at doing. And then obviously a lot of them have their own ideas on what they want to get done too. Some pain points, I guess we'll call them. And then we show them the pricing and the model, and then they can decide to move forward or just keep going on keep on keeping on with the way they're doing it.
Why 2 days later? Why not right on the call?
Gives us time to kind of look at things, and you kind of got to take a look at which specialists we want to work with, and just kind of go through it. Versus, if you make it too streamlined, it kind of loses value.
Does it ever happen they sign up for the free diagnostic and then they don't show up for the second call?
No, they typically come back. Yeah,
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a problem.
And
Although you haven't, there is not enough data yet.
What's that?
I'm saying that's not a problem, but there's also not enough data yet, because most of the customers that came in through your network, and they're not gonna like disrespect you. But if you're coming, like if it's like a colder audience who don't know you, they might like not show up to the second call, right?
I guess that's possible. But I think the way we provide, the diagnostic and the way the whole thing is run, they can see the value from the get-go. And I've got some introduction videos that they can watch before they even come to the diagnostic, so they know what to expect. And and so the value is there, and they can see it. So I don't really, unless a life storm comes up, I don't see them not making that second call, because we set it up.
Right.
The focus is to try and set up both calls at the same time, so they know.
Right.
They know they're coming back for a second call.
How many of these second calls have you done so far? Like hundreds or like less than 100?
Less than 100. Less than 100.
Right. Okay. So there's not enough volume yet, right?
Yeah, not enough volume. Like I said, last year I was focused on the book, and it was a tough year last year. And I hate making excuses, but it was an interesting year personally.
Yeah. So when you are constructing this offer for your customer, so now we're talking about the offer to the direct business owner customer, how are you positioning it? Are you just saying, oh, we're going to save you a bunch of money? Like I want to see how you position based on how much you're charging and how much you're saving.
Well, the proactive planning fee is just mainly for our time. So if we go do tax mitigation, and we go, the tax mitigation is typically, if they're, CPA, let's say their tax bill is still, after the CPA is done, still $100,000. And we do tax mitigation on their current tax situation after the CPA is done what they typically do. And we save them $40,000. Then our team usually charges about half of it. We guarantee them that we're going to double 2x their money on tax mitigation. So if they pay us 20, they're going to save minimum 40,000 on taxes.
So this is on top of the $5,600 per year they're paying, right?
Yeah, the $5,600 is just a proactive planning fee for quarterly meetings, and basically having somebody that's going to look at your whole picture, your business planning, your personal planning, and your tax planning.
I see. Do you position that $5,600 also as something that they will make up by the once you execute the services, they'll see that savings or increased revenue? Is it usually positioned around saving, or is it positioned around increased revenue, or both?
It can be, depending on what area we're working in. It's, some of it is intrinsic. You can't put a number on it. Peace of mind that everything that can be done is being done. It's hard to put a dollar value on peace of mind, especially when you realize that you have a team now that's actually collaborating, and you're starting to see some areas that you didn't even realize that you needed some help in, or we've introduced some strategies that are going to help them reach their financial goals. a lot faster than what they were doing. We're going to be able to do it in the way they were currently doing it. So the value just shows up in those kind of regards.
Mm, okay. So you okay. So you kind of like position is like, well, this is the money you're spending, but you're gonna either save it or you're gonna make it back anyway. So it's like a no brainer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's good. Okay. Um, you mentioned AI in system. You're thinking of introducing AI. How will AI play a role?
Um, but not necessarily, for well, I do have an AI guy I can introduce the business owner to, but I'm just talking more for our back our backside, our back end, trying to keep things flowing with client flow and scheduling and different things like that. So AI, that's what our meeting is going to be on Monday, is with my COO and the AI specialist, just taking a look at what we're doing, where we're headed, our growth plans, and then just see where AI can step in and help us streamline things and make sure that we can give the customer, the business owner, the type of service and still have AI in there, because I'm sensitive to the fact that I don't, when I'm going on to do some kind of customer support or trying to get some help from a company or a company I'm contracted with, if I get stuck with a chat bot and I can't get to a live person, um, I don't like that. So I don't want to set up my business to where they're working with AI versus talking to me. But there are some areas that we can streamline
Yeah.
and free our time up and allows us to do some other things at a higher level.
Okay. No, that yeah, I agree with that. You don't want AI customer facing. You want AI to just help you with your admin stuff and make things more efficient on your back end. Yeah, that I totally agree with. Okay. So I feel like I understand the business model now. I understand the constraint, and seems like you have the backend set up. You have this franchisee franchisor relationship set up. So even if you get like 20 more customers tomorrow, you can handle them, right?
Yep.
That's not the problem. So the biggest constraint then is essentially comes down to visibility and marketing, right? There's just not enough CPAs and enough business owners who know about this virtual planning service, virtual family office service that you provide, right?
Right.
Hmm. So and you have had success with bringing in more customers from networking, in-person events, and getting in front of CPAs. And then you wrote a book which is not hitting directly at the CPAs, but it goes after CPAs indirectly. So at least the book is helping you building the authority in this niche, right?
Exactly.
That was the angle as well.
That was the angle for sure. And so, like, next week, I'm going out to drop off some what we call them tax season survival kits, which is a box of granola bars and candy bars and energy drinks or what have you. I don't typically put energy drinks. I try and keep it in this a little more healthier. But and then I'll have a copy of my book, and I'll have a little section or a little my business card in marking the note to CPAs in my book, so they can read that part, and then just set up meetings for after tax season with them.
Oh, this is like a lumpy mail where you mail a CPA with a copy of your book and a personalized note.
Yeah, I'm going to be hand delivering most of them, if not all of them.
Oh, hand delivering.
Yep.
Oh, this is a part. You going to a conference?
No, I'm real close to the Twin Cities. I probably couldn't even tell you how many CPAs, right within 30 minutes of me, really, hundreds.
Mm.
And so we can bop around a few CPAs I've had conversations with, and drop off the tax season survival kit and my book and a little letter. Hopefully be able to get them out of the office to meet with me. But if not, they got something that we can talk about in a month and a half here, or a month.
You're doing like grassroots door knocking sales. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. Uh, I was not expecting you would that would be one of the strategies. That is, I love it. I think you'll be effective.
I think
because no one else does that, right?
right. Yeah. No, I think it's there's something that ERT came up with, and advisors have been using it around the country, and it is quite effective. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had an interview with a founder who, so he's doing lumpy mail. So what that means is he also wrote a book, and then he customizes, he puts a note in like on the first page of the book, like a post-it note, and says, something like something personal about them, and then sends them the book in the mail, right? So that's what he was doing. And I suggested, and then he says, well, I also put a link in there if they want to do have like a custom report generated based on their business. So I was like, why don't you, in addition to the post-it note, why don't you print out that report that you are sending them to, instead of having them like adding another friction point, having them go to this URL? Just print out that report and put it in the same envelope. That's gonna increase the your conversions. And he's like, well, yeah, I didn't think of it. So I'm thinking something similar. I mean, you're doing even better because you're going in person, right? And now you can pretty much provide, because if they're like, oh, Dale, tell me about what kind of services you provide, and then you can like go into it, the pitch right on the spot, right? But
Yeah.
if you were doing like a mail service, because I'm guessing you are focused on getting more customers locally first, right?
Well, CPAs, yeah. I mean, obviously, I can work around the country, but it's nicer to be able to start building relationships with CPAs around here,
Yeah.
because I can go knock on their door,
Yeah.
go chat with them, sit down, and grab some breakfast or coffee, what have you, and build that relationship, because that's the ultimate focus is to build a relationship to the point where it's a long-term partnership that benefits both.
Yeah. How many, like, is this franchisor, like, how many franchisees are there for this particular model?
I don't know how many for sure that they have, but I think it's over 100,
Over 100.
150.
Like, do they ever like compete with each other if they're in the similar area?
No, I got quite a few. I'm actually got one we haven't chatted in a while, but we got to know each other because he's probably 15 minutes from my house. But there's so many CPAs, you're not going to trip on each other. You're really not.
Mm,
If you do,
yeah.
then I would just like, no, go ahead and take it. There's just too many out there to worry about one, and you can only work with, like I said, 2 to 3. Unless you're going to scale, which I'd like to, just because. And I don't think he's doing any scaling, but we got like 3 or 4 of them around the Twin Cities here that are out
Mm,
on that same group, ERT. And so, yeah, I'm just thinking here, I should actually reach out to him and see how he's doing. And it's great to just kind of find out what's working, what's not working. Iron sharpens iron, and all ships rise with the tide. All that stuff.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I don't feel any competitiveness with anybody because it just doesn't benefit you to be competitive. There's just too much out
Right.
there.
Yeah.
It's too much of a short-sighted, to lack mentality to be competitive.
Yeah, yeah. Now I yeah, I asked out of curiosity, as in like how prevalent is this the business model? Um Dale, this has been great. If someone is watching this and they're like, well, Dave seems like a cool guy, I want to hang out with him, I want to refer CPA clients, or I'm a CPA, I want to refer my clients to him, what's the best place for them to reach out?
We'll go to our website. My book is there. You can see the VFO, the specialists are on our website as well as my team. It's trsfamilyoffice.com. And then if you want to shoot me an email, my email address is dale@trsfamilyoffice.com.
Dale, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
It's been the hour and a half flew by, so it was a great pleasure. Hour and 15 minutes was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.